Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a bake with me. For those that don't know, in my last video, I explained a little bit about me going to study abroad in Paris in pastry school. So I want to brush up some of my skills and basic pastry techniques that I have not done in a little while before going off to pastry school in Paris. This video will be the first of a few baking with me, brushing up some of those basic skills. So let's get started. So today's video is going to be all about sponge cake, particularly Genoise sponge cake. It's been quite a while since I've made a Genoise, probably 12 years? Probably 12 years since I've made Genoise. So it's gonna be interesting. I'll explain a little bit about what kind of cake that is in a second, but we're going to preheat the oven first because we want to make sure the oven's on before we start everything, because there's nothing worse than getting all your ingredients, making your dessert, cake, pastry, what have you, and your oven's not on. So let's do that. Okay, so I have my recipe here that we're gonna go by. The recipe itself wasn't really super important to me. I'm more concerned about the technique of whatever I'm baking and just getting the practice of doing certain techniques, whether it's a certain way to make a cake or a cookie or a pastry. So the recipe themselves don't matter too much to me. I'm just going for the skill and the technique of it. So I have my recipe. I'm gonna preheat my oven, and then I'm gonna weigh out all of my ingredients first before I even start the process of making this cake. So 165 Celsius. What is 165 Celsius in Fahrenheit? See, I'm not really a big fan of this. 329 Fahrenheit. Oven's preheating. Now we're gonna start to measure out the ingredients. I kind of lined everything out and I'm gonna weigh them with my electric scale. Recipes are a lot more accurate when you measure everything by weight. It's just the easiest way to do it. So. Look at this, 8 grams. When you're measuring butter and you just cut a piece and you get the exact amount, it's like the most exhilarating thing ever. Such a baking nerd. So now that I have everything measured out, I want to make sure all the ingredients are at room temperature. When you're whipping things, combining things, particularly for baking, everything incorporates together a lot easier when they're all the same temperature. If you have something that's really hot and something that's really cold and you're trying to mix it together, it just doesn't mix as easily together as if everything was the same temperature. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm really excited to use my temperature gun. This just uses a infrared laser to measure the surface temperature of whatever you're wanting to measure. So yeah, I'm excited to use this. Okay, so now that my egg sugar mixture is warmed up enough, we're gonna whip it up to ribbon stage. It's gonna like double in volume from what it is now. The thing with a Genoise sponge is that there's no chemical leavening agents. So there's no baking soda, there's no baking powder. The only thing that is in this cake to help it rise is air. So that's why we are warming everything up. It makes it a lot easier to whip up and create more air bubbles, and we want to do that until it's like doubled in size, light, pale, fluffy. So let's get whipping. All right, so I think we're just about there. We call this ribbon stage because when the mixture drops from the whip into the bowl, you can see how it forms these ribbons that kind of sit and hold their own shape in the pan. That's how we know it's done. The people that bake and film themselves baking all the time, how do you do it? It's hard enough to bake by itself when you're concentrating, but when you're trying to film and bake at the same time, like, what the heck? Okay, so now I'm gonna take my flour and my cornstarch and I'm gonna fold them into the egg and sugar mixture. Okay, so I think that we're just about there. I'm a little bit worried that this is not gonna rise in the oven because I do not know if there's enough air incorporated into this, and I can hear the air bubbles popping as I'm folding this in. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna melt the butter and milk with the vanilla, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of this batter out, mix it in with the melted butter and milk, and then we're gonna incorporate it back into here. It's just a lot easier for everything to mix together that way. If you try to mix the butter in to the batter that we have already, they're two totally different textures, and it's gonna take you a long time to fold that all in together, and you might knock out too much air, which is what I'm already worried is happening. That just makes it easier for both of them to combine without you having to overmix the batter. Like I was mentioning, I'm taking a little bit of this batter out and I'm gonna mix it in with the milk and butter mixture. This is a hot mess. Smaller spatula, a lot easier than trying to use a giant one. I have no idea if this is gonna work. It's been so long since I've made a Genoise that I literally don't remember how I made it the first time. I have no idea how I made it the first time. But we'll see. Okay, it kind of looks like this. I don't know if you can see. Okay, so here's what we have. Not looking too bad. Have no idea if it's gonna rise. We'll find out. So, like and subscribe. She's looking good. Don't know if you can see. She's looking pretty good. This is gonna go in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. I like to set it a little bit less time because you can always bake it more, but you can't unbake something. I'm gonna start with 25 minutes. If it ends up needing more time, we'll just add more time on in the end. So I am stressed out of my mind. I'm really stressed. If it sucks, if it doesn't work, we're making it again. I don't know if we're making it again today, but who knows? Yeah, I'm stressed. Okay. Oh, I should turn the oven light on. Might help. She looks not too bad. Can't really tell anything. Not really sure. It looks like it might be doing something. I think it's still too early to tell. I haven't really done many videos of me filming while I'm baking something. I think I've done maybe one or two. When I was running my business decorating cookies, I would do a lot of content where I'm working and I just have my phone or camera propped up doing a time lapse, which is easy because I don't really have to film and like bake at the same time. It's it's difficult running around the kitchen trying to like move my camera and film. So I hope that this is still a little bit informative while getting to see what it's like to go through some of these baking techniques. It's really difficult to film while I'm trying to concentrate and bake at the same time. So for the people that do it, that's awesome. Okay, she's out of the oven. Not horrible, but not great. But not horrible. It's looking pretty good. It rose a little bit. I would have liked it to rise a little bit more, but not too bad. So now that my cake's out of the oven, I'm going to turn it out onto a cooling rack and let it cool upside down. Once I took it out of the oven, I let it cool down for about 10 minutes or so, and just ran a knife around the edge so that way the sides don't stick when I try to turn it out. So yeah, we're gonna turn it out, let it cool upside down for another like 20 minutes or so, and then we're gonna cut into it. So it's the next day. I finished up baking the cake and then wrapped it in plastic wrap and chilled it overnight. I actually put it in the freezer overnight so that it would hold its moisture still. But final results, it's not bad, but it's not what I was hoping for. It's a little bit flat. I was worried about it not coming out the way I was hoping for, but it rose a little bit. It would be really good if I was using it as a single layer of cake. Normally, when I'm making a whole batch of Genoise, I'm making a thicker cake and cutting it into 3 layers. I definitely would not be able to cut this into 3 layers, but as a single layer of cake, it's perfectly fine. Most importantly, what does it taste like? Nice. Okay, actually really nice. Looks pretty light and fluffy. Overall, not awful. Just not as fluffy as I wanted it to be, but let's see how it tastes. That's really good. Pretty much a success with the cake. I have plans to do a few more classic French pastries and desserts coming up to get prepared for school, so stick around for that. Thank you everyone so much for watching and following along with me. If you want to see more of my upcoming stuff along my journey to pastry school in Paris, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.